The night shimmered over Dubai like glass reflecting 1,000 artificial stars, yet inside Fazza, everything felt dim and unfinished. From a distance, her life looked perfect luxury, confidence, a presence that turned heads wherever she went, but perfection is often just a well-lit illusion. Beneath it, she carried silence, and silence has a way of growing heavier with time. She stood alone on her balcony, high above the restless city, watching headlights drift like rivers of light. Nights were her only escape, the only time she didn't have to pretend. The phone beside her lay still, yet her eyes kept returning to it, as if willing it to ring. She didn't know who she was waiting for anymore, maybe a person, maybe a moment, maybe a version of herself she had lost. Then it rang. An unknown number. Her heartbeat shifted, not faster, just deeper. She answered, but for a few seconds, there was nothing. Just breathing on the other side, uneven, uncertain. Fazza. A voice finally said, low and unfamiliar, yet strangely certain. She froze. Who is this? You don't know me, the voice replied, but I know you, or at least, who you're becoming. There was no fear in her, not yet. Just curiosity wrapped in quiet tension. That's not an answer. Meet me, the voice said, ignoring her words. If you want to understand why everything feels empty even when you have everything. The call ended. For a long moment, Fazza didn't move. People say instinct protects you, warns you, tells you to walk away, but sometimes instinct pulls you toward the very thing that could change you forever. And something about that voice didn't feel dangerous, it felt inevitable. An hour later, she was driving through parts of the city she had never visited before. The roads grew quieter, the buildings older, the lights dimmer. Eventually, she reached the location sent in a single message after the call, a forgotten art gallery, closed for years. The door was slightly open. Inside, the air smelled like dust and time. Broken frames leaned against the walls, and faded paintings stared back like memories no one claimed anymore. In the center of the room stood a man, his back turned, studying a blank canvas. You came, he said without looking at her. You expected me to, Fazza replied, stepping closer. He turned slowly. There was nothing extraordinary about his appearance, yet something in his eyes felt unsettling, like he saw more than he should. Most people wouldn't, he said. But you're not most people. You're just very good at pretending to be. Fazza crossed her arms, steady but alert. You called me here to analyze me. No, he said, shaking his head. I called you here to show you something. He stepped aside, revealing the blank canvas. At first, it was just that, empty. But as Fazza looked closer, faint outlines began to appear, like shadows forming into meaning. It wasn't paint. It wasn't even fully visible. But she could see it. It was her. Not the version she showed the world, but something deeper: tired eyes, guarded expression, strength mixed with quiet exhaustion. Her breath caught. How is this possible? Because this isn't a painting, he said. It's truth. She looked at him sharply. Truth doesn't just appear on a canvas. It does, he replied calmly, when someone is finally ready to see it. Silence stretched between them, but it wasn't empty anymore. It was filled with something shifting, something uncomfortable. What do you want from me? She asked. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked past her, toward the door. Nothing, he said. That's the point. Everyone in your life wants something from you: your time, your attention, your strength. I don't. She turned to follow him. Then why me? He paused at the doorway, glancing back just enough for his voice to reach her clearly. Because you're standing at a moment, he said. A quiet one. The kind people ignore. But it's the kind that decides everything. And then he left. Fazza stood there alone again, but not the same way as before. The silence had changed. It wasn't heavy anymore, it was questioning. That night didn't end with answers. It ended with awareness. In the days that followed, everything began to feel different. Conversations sounded hollow. Smiles felt rehearsed. Even her own reflection seemed slightly unfamiliar, like she was looking at someone she used to be. The man never called again, never appeared, yet his presence lingered like a thought she couldn't shake. So she started searching, not for him, but for meaning. She returned to places she had forgotten, spoke to people she had once ignored, and slowly began to strip away the layers she had built around herself. It wasn't easy. Growth rarely is. It felt like breaking before becoming. Weeks later, she went back to the gallery. It was gone. Not closed. Not abandoned. Gone. In its place stood an empty lot, as if the building had never existed. No one in the area remembered it. No records. No signs. Fazza should have been confused, maybe even afraid, but instead, she smiled. Because for the first time, she understood. That night was never about the man. It was about her. And sometimes, the moment that changes everything doesn't stay, it just awakens something that does. From that night on, Fazza didn't try to be perfect anymore. She chose to be real. And that changed everything.